Hi there, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Wild Interviews with Fabricio Lazarde. Today we have two guests. Yes, this will hopefully be a great interview, and it's the first one with two guests. Yeah, if we don't count the translator in another one, I recommend you to watch it. It will be up here. So, yes, our guests are Alice Racefield and Alexandra. Both of them work with the Jacutinga. It's a very colorful bird, a bird that I didn't even knew existed till some months ago. Today we'll try to raise awareness as much as we can on it and more importantly on the Atlantic rainforest, its natural habitat, one of Brazil's most diverse ecosystems, but also sadly one of the most affected by quite a lot of threats. Welcome, Alice. Welcome, Alexandra. It's great to have you.
Thank you, Fabricio. Hello, I am still learning English, but I will introduce myself in English and speak in Portuguese the rest of the time. I am Alexandra, I am a biologist, and I have been the coordinator of Projeto Jacutinga since 2015.
Wow, incredible. What a pleasure it is to have you. Yes, as Alexandra said, Alice will help us with the translation, but I have some plans for her too in today's interview. Also, I would like to introduce Luigi. I forgot about him. He is Alice's cat. And hi, Luigi. You are too welcome in this interview.
He says hi.
Great. First of all, I think we should ask a little more about your background, Alexandra. Um, how did you study working in biology, or what inspired you to work with animals, with environment?
Lex, ele quer saber um pouquinho sobre a sua formação e o que te levou a estudar biologia e como você começou a trabalhar com animais.
Bom, eu comecei a me interessar por animais desde criança, um amor pelos bichos desde criança.
So Alexandra has always been interested in animals. Ever since she was a child, she loved animals and had a lot of interest in it.
Amazing.
E aí eu entrei na faculdade em 1999 e assim que eu me formei, eu já comecei a trabalhar com animais silvestres. Sempre gostei de animais silvestres.
So in 1999, Alexandra graduated from college, and ever since she graduated, she already started working with wild animals because this was her main interest.
E aí eu já trabalhei em zoológicos, criadouros e agora no projeto de conservação em vida livre, né?
And I was going to say Jacutinga, but Alexandra, she has a lot of experience from working in zoos, in breeding facilities, and now she's been working in Projeto Jacutinga since 2015.
Yes, well, I'm also happy that she's speaking Portuguese because I can, like associate the words and learn a little bit. So yes, well, I've had the opportunity to interview several Brazilians already, and it's very interesting how diverse its wildlife is, like, from amphitheaters to big cats to birds to even reptiles and amphibians. It's awesome. That's something too that most of my guests have talked about, and it is that this feeling, this passion, they have it since crianza, since they are children. And oh wow, you know, I think I think conservation is many things, and knowing from the opinion of every single conservationist I have interviewed, you really have a great idea of what conservation is and of what working with animals is right now. But Alice, now going with you, how you started working with animals or with Projeto Jacutinga?
That's a good question. Just like Alexandra, I've always had a huge interest in working with animals. And when I graduated college in 2009, I graduated in environmental management, actually. And then I worked at an aquarium and at a zoo. And I've been working at Savi Brazil in multiple projects since 2013.
Wow, sorry for that. There was a mosquito bothering me over here.
That's fine.
But yes, very interesting indeed. Now, moving on a little bit. If I'm correct, Projeto Jacutinga started in 2007, right?
It started in 2010, but we started as a background as an organization. So Savi Brazil, just for a little background, Savi Brazil started as a BirdLife International program in 2000, and we became an independent NGO in 2004, which is Savi Brazil. And Savi Brazil stands for the Society for the Conservation of Birds in Brazil. And we are a Brazilian bird conservation organization. And besides being part of the BirdLife International Alliance, we are also part of American Bird Conservancy's Reserve Network and the IUCN, and also two Brazilian associations such as the Rede de ONGs da Mata Atlântica and Pacto pela Restauração da Mata Atlântica.
Wow.
And we have, and we have conservation projects all over the countries. Most of them are in the Atlantic forest, but we are really all over from the south to the north of Brazil. And one of them is Projeto Jacutinga.
That's great. You know, I don't know why this interview is like linked to so many others I've had, not only because you're working in the Atlantic rainforest, but also because of your story. I will try to leave that for like kind of the end of the interview because you will be impressed by how much this project has achieved in a decade, almost a decade in 1 year, 11 years of study. Alexandra, now I will try to do that. Like I ask a question Alice, I ask a question you, and like that. I don't know if you're okay with that.
Yeah, sure. Feel free.
Well, Alexandra, you are now the coordinator of the project. What are some of the challenges you have seen in this work? I will try to explain myself a little further. And when I mean challenges, it's like, oh no, we can't do what was planned for the species because of some unexpected thing, or if the local people is giving a problem. I don't know. What are some of these challenges?
Lex, a pergunta dele, ele quer saber alguns dos desafios que você já enfrentou no projeto e mais pensando em algumas coisas que a gente não estava esperando acontecer da forma que aconteceram ou alguma coisa totalmente inesperada que surgiu de problema que a gente não estava contando.
Bom, quando eu entrei para trabalhar na SAV, eu entrei como técnica de campo do Projeto Jacutinga, depois que eu virei coordenadora. E quando eu entrei, na verdade, o projeto estava bem parado, porque o maior problema do projeto era conseguir as primeiras aves oriundas de ambiente artificial para serem reabilitadas e reintroduzidas pelo projeto. Então, esse acho que foi o maior problema.
So the first challenge is that when Alexandra first entered Savi Brazil to work at the project, she was hired as a project technician. And then later on, she became a project coordinator. But one of the main problems that we had at the time is that the whole part of reintroduction of the project, because it has a lot of components that we're going to explain later, but the reintroduction component was completely paused because we were having a really hard time to get Jacutingas to be released, because we work with Jacutingas that come from captivity, such as zoos and breeding facilities, and we had a really hard time to acquire these first Jacutingas for release. So this was the first challenge, and it was a very big one.
I imagine, and I have several questions related to that because captive reintroduction has never been easy. Yes, it's right. You have to kind of re-educate the birds from to live in the wild, like they were, used to having their food served, to not having predators around. But now that you are, I have read a lot about your project. I think I don't want to like move too much and leaving things like important things behind. So before I continue with that, um, do you have anything more to add on the introduction, or we can pass to the fun fact section?
Now, maybe I can add a little bit about the project in less than 5 minutes. So give a brief explanation of all the activities we do. And then we can move to the fun facts, because some of the videos Alexandra is going to show are related to the things I'm going to explain, but I'll be brief.
Go ahead. Great.
Yeah. So I don't know, as you might be aware, the Jacutinga is considered endangered by IUCN and BirdLife. So it's a threatened bird. And it's also endemic to the Atlantic forest, not only here in Brazil, but also Argentina and Paraguay. But unfortunately, it became locally extinct in many parts of its original distribution due to hunting and habitat loss, mostly, just like most of other animal species. So because of this situation, Savi Brazil started Projeto Jacutinga in 2010. And we started by carrying out a population census and just also starting to work with education and outreach and engaging environmental agencies as well. And this is all in the state of São Paulo, here in the Atlantic forest. So after the census, with no Jacutingas found in the searched areas, in 2014, we started the second phase of the project. And this phase is the one that had the focus in reintroduction and monitoring, and creating a reintroduction and monitoring protocol, so that finally the first releases could begin in 2016, when we released the first Jacutingas back into the wild. So in this project, we work with three main components that have several activities in each of them. So we work with community engagement, the reintroduction and monitoring, and also the engagement with environmental agencies, which includes enforcement agencies as well. And yeah, I guess now we can skip to a few questions, and then we can further explain if you have any doubts and show the fun part.
Awesome. Great. Very good explanation, Alice. It like really concludes mainly what's the project about, and its current not steps, but like phases, I would say. I don't know. So yes, I would like to start with the fun fact. Did you know that there's a municipality in Minas Gerais state called Jacutinga? What's
Yes,
the
there
meaning
is.
of Jacutinga?
O Lex, ele está perguntando, ele passou agora para a parte que ele vai falar de fatos mais divertidos, e ele trouxe como uma curiosidade um município de Minas Gerais que chama Jacutinga.
Que não tem mais Jacutinga nenhuma.
Yes, which is a place where there are no Jacutingas anymore.
Yes, but I imagine it was part of their previous range, right? At least.
O Lex, estava dentro da distribuição original, o município de Jacutinga?
Sim.
Yes, you're right, Fabrício.
Ooh,
Originally, yes.
And the meaning of Jacutinga has always been the bird, or does it have any other meaning? The word, I mean.
Ô, Lex, a palavra Jacutinga, que a gente saiba só o significado do nome da ave mesmo, né?
Sim, sim.
E eu sei que os guaranis chamam de Jacutinga também, deve ser essa a origem, né? Até.
Provavelmente. No Wikiaves até fala alguma coisa sobre a mancha branca, né? Tem alguma coisa ligada ao tupi mesmo.
Fabrizio, so yes, as we know, it's just the only meaning of Jacutinga really is the bird. And we know that the Guaranis also here and in Argentina and Paraguay also use the word Jacutinga. And we think that this might be related to the bird's characteristic to the original word in Tupi Guarani, which are the native indigenous languages.
That's very interesting. I also like to try to know about those little details that indirectly are also part of the bird, like who would know that there's a municipality called Jacutinga? It's very wow. So yes, thanks for that explanation. I also always like the the local languages of the native tribes, and knowing, oh, that means this in that local language. It's interesting. But going back to the bird, yes, we spend a little time in there. So what are the fun facts for this species? If you want, do you want to share the videos now or before you say the fun facts? Or while you say them, as you want.
Alex, ele perguntou se a gente, agora como ele quer falar sobre os fatos divertidos, ele perguntou se a gente quer ir passando os vídeos e explicando, ou se tem algum fato divertido, alguma informação que você gostaria de falar antes dos vídeos, ou fazendo os dois ao mesmo tempo.
Eu acho que a gente pode ir fazendo os dois. Eu posso fazer na sequência que eu mostro, assim, eles nascendo no ambiente artificial, meio na sequência, né? O que você
Acho
acha?
uma ótima. Fabrício, Alexandra has a good suggestion. She can start by showing the videos and then explaining the facts about the videos.
Good.
Would that be okay?
Sure, yes.
Vamos lá.
Meanwhile, Alexandra looks for the videos. Well, I would like to congratulate her because, when I first contacted the project and everything, I couldn't have the interview because she was on maternity leave. So congratulations for your new baby.
Thank you very much. Já está compartilhando para vocês?
Tá compartilhando. Tá aparecendo o PowerPoint no modo normal de editar a apresentação.
Então, bom, acho que eu vou falando e você vai traduzindo já, né? Eu vou mostrar um pouquinho sobre os nossos parceiros e o nascimento de uma jacutinga em um desses parceiros, uma incubação artificial.
So now we are going to show a video about our partners, our ex-situ partners, and also a video of a baby jacutinga being born, being hatched from an egg. And this is a case of artificial rearing.
Great.
Deeper.
Aí, se ele tiver alguma pergunta sobre o vídeo, Licor?
Fabrício, if you have any questions about the video, please feel free to ask.
Actually, yes. If I'm correct, the piping ones or the jacutingas are also part from the family Crassidae, which is of the curassows, right?
Right. They're from the same family.
First of all, I had never seen a chick of either of those genuses. So it's very interesting. For example, their wings, like how old, if you have like a length, how old were the chicks shown? Not the ones that hatched, but the other ones that, like it says, un filote bomb or
Yes. The medium-sized chicks.
medium-sized, yeah.
Okay. Lex, você sabe a idade do filhotinho, não o saindo do ovo, mas do filhotinho maiorzinho que mostra?
Menos de uma semana. Ele é mais ou menos uns 4, 5 dias.
Less than a week, about 4 to 5 days old. Very tiny baby, a newborn.
Wow. If it wasn't for these wings in here that are very, like detailed, I would even mistake it for a chick, a chicken chick. I don't know. It's wow. that part got me. Why don't we talk a little bit about the reproduction of the Jacutingas now that we are talking about their filhotes?
Yeah, sure. Ele quer falar pouco sobre reprodução, Lex. Já que a gente falou dos filhotes, ele vai, acho que Are you going to ask a few questions about the reproduction?
Yes, yes. Well, or if not, you can just explain a little bit, like, oh, how is the mating process? Many birds have very interesting, like, rituals for matings. What about the Jacutinga?
Yeah, sure. O Lex, ele pediu para explicar pouquinho sobre a reprodução das jacutingas, como que é o ritual de acasalamento, qualquer informação sobre reprodução que a gente acha que pode ser interessante.
Bacana. Eu tenho uns vídeos que talvez seja bem bacana passar, se ele quiser, que aí já é da parte do monitoramento. O que vocês acham?
Ótimo. Fabrício, we have a few videos that show the breeding behavior. So maybe we can share these and also explain while we're showing the videos.
Eu só vou trocar aqui a apresentação,
Wow,
porque a da Carla...
cease to impress me. You're super...
It is an interesting behavior. You'll like it.
Let's see how it is. I'm excited.
Espera aí que eu vou compartilhar a outra, porque essa tem mais vídeos.
She's gonna share it again because this one is another presentation with other videos.
No problem, it's okay.
Então vamos lá. Tá compartilhando, né?
Tá.
Yes.
Tá. Eu vou mostrar o primeiro vídeo, um comportamento reprodutivo da fêmea. Aí pode falar que foi um comportamento reprodutivo inédito, que nunca havia sido gravado, a maneira que a fêmea se comporta nesse ritual de acasalamento.
Tá. So first of all, we're going to show a video of the female's mating behavior, and this was the first time this behavior was recorded.
Aí você pode falar, ela bate os pezinhos e abre a cauda em leque.
So this is her behavior, this sort of dance. She taps her feet and she opens her wings.
Posso ir na sequência?
Yes, she'll show another one.
O próximo vídeo é um comportamento reprodutivo do macho. Ele tem uma vocalização para chamar a atenção da fêmea.
So now we're going to see the male's mating behavior and we're going to listen to his breeding call.
Geralmente, depois dessa vocalização, eles fazem aquele voo com a asa, né? Com a ponta da asa diferenciada, que faz um barulho assim, ó, trrr, que a gente não tem filmado, porque é muito difícil.
So usually after this behavior, they will fly in this movement like Alexandra showing and making this sound that she made. I'm not as good as she is at making the sound. No translation for this.
Eu vou mostrar então o assobio.
So she's going to show the breeding call. Let's see if we can hear it. Olex, será que tá... Ah, yes, we can hear it. The whistle is the breeding call.
Aí o próximo vídeo, que também é de reprodução, é a interação afiliativa entre o macho e a fêmea. O macho oferece frutos para a fêmea.
And the next video is going to show the male offering fruits to the female. It's an interaction, it's a pre-mating interaction.
Aí o vídeo seguinte do macho procurando um local para fazer o ninho. Eles não constroem um ninho, eles vão aproveitando um local e só trazendo alguns materiais para baixo, para dentro desse local. Mas geralmente já é um local pronto.
So now we're going to see the male nesting. They don't actually build a nest. They use a place that is sort of already there, and he just brings some leaves and some things down. But they don't actually build the nest. So we're going to see this behavior next. Fabrício, and these are all Jacutingas that were introduced by the project.
That's even more interesting. That adds on to it. But quick questions: are these Jacutingas like in already like released, or are they still like in a like a training enclosure or pre-release enclosure?
Okay, so we can explain a little bit about this, but these scenes are after the release, after they have been trained for months in the rehabilitation and training enclosure.
Oh, great. Oh, wow. First of all, I would like to say this reminded me a lot of the first, that a documentary of BBC that kind of was the first ever video of that species. Well, in this case, it is the breeding behavior. It's always great to have these videos because, it's the first time you document a thing like that. That was the Madagascar portion, an interview I had a few times ago. I recommend you to watch it. The link will appear up. And okay, also very interesting to note, and I would like to inquire a little about it. Their nest. You mentioned, Alice and Alexandra, that their nests are on the ground. Is the species, for example, predation or maybe human disturbance, does it affect these birds as they like nest on the floor, or maybe their eggs could be uncovered?
Lex, ele quer saber mais sobre os ninhos, que parecia que o ninho era muito perto do chão, então eu queria saber como que isso pode influenciar em termos de ameaça, tanto de humanos quanto de predação.
Apesar daquele vídeo parecer no chão, não era bem alto até, bem razoavelmente alto. Aí, por exemplo, esses slides são 2 ninhos que elas fizeram. Que o macho ele vai escolhendo o local do ninho e a fêmea, quando se sente à vontade, depois do acasalamento, ela faz a postura. Então, nós fizemos 2 observações de ninhos diferentes. Eles ficavam mais ou menos cerca de uns 8 metros de altura, assim, um em 5 e o outro mais ou menos uns 8 metros de altura. Um foi no topo de uma samambaia-açu e o outro num emaranhado de galhos.
Obrigada, Alex. So, Fabrizio, it looks like it's really close to the ground, but it's not. It's the impression from the images, but they're actually at about 8 meters high. And so far in the projects with the birds that we've been monitoring, we've only had 2 records of nests, and one of them is the one you can see in the photo, and we saw it in 2 different plants, but both of them were pretty high at about 8 meters.
Oh, okay. I see. Yes, if we appreciate the images, I also heard something about, now that we talked about the trees, they are seed dispersers, right? They are very important for the local environment, and they eat, I don't remember the species, but they eat seeds from a threatened palm species, right?
Yes, that's correct. The Euterpes edulis palm species, which is threatened. Very important seed dispersal for this and other species.
Let me think a little. What do you want to do? Do we continue a little bit talking about the palm and its role with the Jacutinga, or do we talk a little bit about what are the other roles that Jacutinga has on their environment?
Yeah, sure. O Lex, ele quer saber se a gente acha interessante falar um pouquinho mais dessa relação com o palmito, ou se a gente gostaria de falar sobre outros papéis da jacutinga no ambiente também.
Eu acho bacana já falar sobre o palmito. A jacutinga, o principal papel ecológico dela é como dispersora de sementes. Existe um paper que fez um levantamento de jacutingas da natureza por 2 anos e eles conseguiram acompanhar as jacutingas se alimentando de pelo menos 41 frutos da Mata Atlântica. Então, mostra a importância dela para fazer a dispersão de várias espécies da Mata Atlântica, e uma das principais é o palmito jussara.
So about their important role as seed dispersers, there is a paper that was published in a scientific journal that they were able to follow jacutingas for 2 years. And during this time, they were able to identify the jacutingas eating at least 40 different types of fruit. So they have an important role for all of these plant species. And one of the most important ones is the Euterpes edulis, which is the palmito jussara, the jussara palm, which is the famous one because of the heart of palm that people eat.
Wow,
Eu tenho um vídeo dela, se vocês quiserem ver um vídeo dela comendo jussara.
We have a video of the jacutingas eating the jussara palm if we want to see it.
Yes, I would like to see it. It would be awesome. And here's the video of the palm, right, Alice?
Yes, that's it. Now we're going to see the jacutinga and the palm. We're going to see her foraging the palm fruits.
E aí pode falar que ela está bebendo água, Lica, da bráctea, né? Que é essa junção entre o cacho e o tronco.
And we could also see her drinking water from the palm tree as well.
Wow. You know, now that this image showed them like from very near, their face is very particular, you know, like it's for other piping guana species, you know, they're kind of less attractive, but this one, you know, that color, that eyes are just
It's true, it's just amazing. It's like they're wearing makeup.
it's true, it's very true. So we can go now to the thread session, or do you have anything else to say about fun facts?
Sure. O Lex, ele perguntou se a gente quer falar mais alguma coisa sobre esses fatos divertidos ou se a gente pode passar para a parte das ameaças, que ele tem algumas perguntas.
Eu não sei se talvez seja interessante ele saber o que a gente faz para reabilitar as aves.
Acho uma ótima. Fabrício, when talking about the threats, maybe we can also talk about how we train the birds before release. Maybe we can speak a little bit about the threats and move to the part of the training. How does that sound?
Sure. It's indeed that it's my fault for not saying the name correctly, but that segment is threats and conservation. All of what's done for the conservation also is indeed.
Perfect.
So, yes, if you want, let's start positively. Let's start talking about the rehabilitation process.
Perfect. Lex, então pode ir falando da reabilitação.
Tá.
Por favor.
Então, a primeira coisa que eu acho bem interessante para as pessoas saberem, que a gente utiliza 4 modelos de predadores: o gato do mato, o macaco, o cachorro e um modelo de gavião.
So for training the birds before release, it's really important for them to recognize the predators and create an aversion for them. So we use these 4 models. One of them represents a wild cat. One of them represents a monkey, more specifically a capuchin monkey. One of them represents a raptor. And the last one represents a dog, but it's an actual dog. It's not only a model, it's a real life dog.
Oh, wow.
E o próximo vídeo vai mostrar um desses momentos de treinamento para reconhecimento de predadores. Então, vai mostrar o gavião para ficar atento, né? Passando pertinho do teto do viveiro, a vocalização do gavião e depois entra o estímulo aversivo.
So now in this next video, we're going to see how we train these birds to recognize the predators. So if we look up inside the enclosure, we're going to see the raptor, which is a hawk flying by, and then we're going to listen to its calls and what we do to stimulate the aversive behavior.
Esse terrorismo com as jacutingas é necessário para que elas associem uma coisa ruim à passagem do predador.
So this terrorism with the Jacutingas is for them to have a bad association between seeing the raptor. So they will see the raptor and they know it's something bad for them. So they have to escape.
It reminded me so much of a folkloric dance where people wear these costumes of vultures and it looked like that.
Yes, it looks like it looks scary and funny.
But I also I'm really interested in that part of studying the sounds some animals make when they are nervous or when they are mating or when they are calling other individuals. That's a pretty interesting part of it. And if I'm correct, you are studying both the sounds and their reaction in this study, right?
Yes, that's it. Because we want them to be able to associate each predator with its sound.
And also, a quick question. Of course, I imagine these birds live in very remote areas apart from humans, but mm, don't you try them to also be wary of humans?
O Lex, ele quer saber se tem também nos nossos treinamentos ensinar eles terem medo de humanos, por eles poderem viver próximos de lugares com interação.
Isso foi uma das coisas que a gente discutiu muito, porque a gente tem uma parceria com uma universidade, com o professor Carlos Ruiz, que é especialista em comportamento animal, e a gente chegou à conclusão que não seria interessante fazer um estímulo aversivo ao humano, primeiro porque a gente não conseguiria monitorar esses indivíduos, porque a gente chegaria perto deles e eles fugiriam, e segundo porque a personalidade, o comportamento de um indivíduo nativo, natural, que está na natureza, que não veio de ambiente artificial, ele já é uma ave tranquila e tolerante à presença humana. Então, a gente, se fizesse um treinamento aversivo ao humano, fugiria um pouco até da própria característica da espécie.
Ótimo. So we discussed this a lot with a professor that is a partner of ours, Professor Carlos Ruiz from UENF, which is a university here in Brazil as well. And we decided that it wouldn't be interesting for them to create an aversion to humans. First of all, because it could be bad for our monitoring. It could negatively influence our monitoring. And also Jacutingas, when they're in their natural state, not the ones that are introduced, but actually wild Jacutingas that are born in the wild, their behavior is much calmer and they really tolerate human presence. So if we were to train them to become averse to humans, then it would be against their nature.
Wow, this is very interesting. And may I ask, where are the current habitats or current locations where this species lives in Brazil?
Alex, a pergunta da distribuição da jacutinga no Brasil. Quais são as áreas onde as jacutingas ainda vivem no Brasil?
Tá. No estado de São Paulo é onde tem a maior distribuição ainda da espécie, que tem um contínuo de mata da Serra do Mar, mas a distribuição geográfica, eu vou até mostrar um mapa, ela diminuiu bastante. Quer traduzir isso já, Nicole?
Sim, sim. So Alexandra is going to show us a map so we can see the original distribution and the distribution that we have right now, not only in Brazil, for the entire original distribution of the species.
Então, era toda nessa área inteira rosa, agora ela está concentrada principalmente no estado de São Paulo, tem também no Paraná, no Rio Grande do Sul e em Santa Catarina. Mas, basicamente, a gente não encontra, na verdade, no Rio Grande do Sul a gente nem encontra mais. É basicamente em São Paulo, Paraná e Santa Catarina. E a maior concentração em São Paulo, porque tem um contínuo de mata, que é a Serra do Mar.
So in red, in this map in red or pink, we can see the original distribution all the way in the state of Bahia in the northeast of Brazil until Rio Grande do Sul and large parts of Paraguay and even a bit of Argentina. But nowadays we only have the jacutingas in the small green patches. And here in Brazil, they're mostly concentrated in the state of São Paulo, where we carry out our project, and especially because there is a large continuum of forests in the state of São Paulo, which is the forest of the Serra do Mar State Park, which is a bit close to where we are working on the project right now.
Thanks for clarifying. Indeed, by the way, also not entirely related to Jacutinga, but what's the range in a map of Brazil of the Atlantic forest? Is it all the area where the Jacutingas live, or it goes up north?
It goes up north, it goes further north until we still have a Atlantic forest in the northeast of the country. So basically what we have left of the Atlantic forest in Brazil is about 12% of the original distribution.
Oh.
And it becomes worse if we considered only the Atlantic forest in the northeast. Right there, it's really bad, only about 5 to 6%. So we lost a lot of its original distribution. But the original distribution goes further north than the Jacutingas distribution historically.
Wow. Well, I can only say that many species have already gone extinct in the Atlantic forest. It's a very bad situation, I would say, because it is being lost at a very fast rate. And not only that, but with 12% of the forest left, if it is not protected, then it will disappear too.
Exactly. And what happens is when internationally, when most people think about forests in Brazil, I think the first thing that comes to their mind is the Amazon. But actually, the Atlantic forest is under more threat because the Amazon is really threatened as well. But the exploration of the Atlantic forest started just as Brazil started to become colonized by the Europeans. So it's been explored for over 500 years. And we've had 2 recent bird extinctions in the Atlantic forest in northeastern Brazil. Over the last 10 years, we lost the Alagoas foliage gleaner and the cryptic tree hunter.
And not only that, right now, after all the fires and everything, Atlantic forest is already very threatened, but Pantanal, even Caatinga, is also starting to, suffer from all of this. And now I should ask for the people to know what are the main threats to not only the Jacutinga, but the Atlantic forest in general.
Yeah, so I'm going to let Alexandra talk about the more direct threats to the Jacutinga, and then I can talk about the overall threats of the Atlantic forest. O Lex, ele perguntou das ameaças, não só das jacutingas, mas da Mata Atlântica no geral. Aí eu falei que você vai falar mais especificamente da parte das jacutingas, e daí eu posso até falar um pouco mais de ameaças gerais.
Tá. Então, o bioma da Mata Atlântica é o mais ameaçado aqui no Brasil, embora o Cerrado também esteja seguindo pelo mesmo caminho. e é a área que é mais ocupada por pessoas aqui no Brasil, né? Então, é perda de hábitat para construção de estradas, de cidades e etc. Então, esse foi um dos motivos, e o outro, a caça. Muito pelo fato da ave também ter um comportamento muito tranquilo, se alimentar num cacho de palmito jussara tranquilamente também, então acaba sendo um alvo fácil para quem vai coletar o palmito jussara, e também quem vai já com essa intenção de caçar, né? Então existem alguns relatos de caças de milhares de exemplares no mesmo dia. E se falava antigamente que a jacutinga fazia uma migração altitudinal de acordo com a frutificação do jussara. Então, conforme vai aumentando a altitude, vai frutificando mais tarde a jussara, e ela acompanhava essa frutificação. E aí os caçadores sabiam, né, esse caminho dela subindo e indo, subindo e descendo. E aí eles aproveitavam para caçar.
Obrigada, Alex. So overall in the Atlantic forest, it's one of the most threatened biomes here in Brazil, along with the Cerrado right now, which is being very much explored. So just like most of the forests all over the world, it suffers from habitat loss because of exploitation, a lot of exploitation. And like Alexandra said, most of the Brazilian population currently lives in the Atlantic forest. Actually, about 70% of the Brazilian population, including us, lives in the Atlantic forest. So it's really quite a lot of people. So this is one of the main reasons for this loss of forest. And it's mostly because of conversion for agriculture, and also for the expansion of cities, which has been going on for centuries right now. And more specifically, in the case of the Jacutinga, besides habitat loss, poaching was a very, very big component that drove this species to extinction. And one of the reasons is its tame behavior. So it's really calm and it's not really afraid of humans. And what happened and still happens is that sometimes people that go into the forest to collect the palm trees, if they see a jacutinga is just eating the palm fruits and it's going to be so tame and calm, and they end up hunting it as well. And now it's the hunting decreased because there are not many left, but there are so many reports from about more than 100 years ago of people going into the forest and hunting more than 100 jacutingas at once, which really scary. Yes, because they were so easy to find and easy to catch. So like 100 jacutingas at the same time. And also something that was a part of the behavior and the poachers knew about is that they have this habit of migrating upwards with the migration, because they follow the fruitification of the palm tree, and the hunters knew about it. So they would follow them throughout this migration and hunt all of the jacutingas. So this is something that one of the reasons why the population decline was so bad. Yeah, it's terrible. It's quite impressive.
Deixa eu só fazer uma correção rapidamente, que eu falei do Rio Grande do Sul, é que são poucas cidades, mas tem 2 cidades que ocorrem em Jacutinga, mas Santa Catarina e Paraná tem muito mais, né? Então, o Rio Grande do Sul está mais reduzido.
Beleza. Alexander, I just wanted to add that we still have a few jacutinga being recorded in the southernmost state of Brazil, which is Rio Grande do Sul, but only a few records in a few municipalities. So right now, in the south, it can still be found in Rio Grande do Sul, Santa Catarina, and Paraná states, which are the ones closer to Paraguay and Argentina, by the way, where there are still some jacutingas as well.
Oh, of course. And I imagine that the records in Argentina and Paraguay might be even worse with the species. I mean that there are even less than in Brazil.
Yes, in Argentina, it's not so bad in the region of Misiones where they still occur, but in Paraguay, it's pretty bad.
Well, when you said that they were very tame, and I thought that they were not gonna be hunted, but rather like be kept as a pet, or like sold. But yes, I imagine that they use their feathers for decoration or ate them. Oh wow,
Yes, and they eat it. They eat the meat. It's a pretty fat bird, so they eat it. It's really a shame. It's very sad.
So well, moving on a little bit, like, oh wow, this species having a rough time. but I would like to highlight what you do in involving the local community, and I would like you to talk a little bit more about that. I have heard incredible things about it of your project, like to encourage people to report or sightings or to protect the species. What can you tell me about it?
Ah, perfect. Lex, ele quer saber mais da parte de engajamento comunitário e do monitoramento participativo, principalmente da parte dos relatos do monitoramento participativo.
Legal. Vou colocar aqui. Bom, o envolvimento da comunidade teve início com os materiais educativos que a gente planejou para o projeto. Primeiro, um guia de práticas e saberes para capacitação dos professores, um livrinho contando as histórias das aventuras da Jacutinga na Mata Atlântica e um origami da Jacutinga para a gente fazer participações em feiras e eventos.
So first of all, one of the tools we created for community were these two publications. The first one, the Guias de Práticas e Saberes com a Natureza, is a guidebook for teachers with activities to involve their students in conservation of the Atlantic forest and the Jacutingas. And the Aventuras da Jacutinga da Mata Atlântica, which means the adventures of the Jacutinga in the Atlantic forest, is a book for kids with the story of the Jacutinga and some activities. And we also designed this Jacutinga origami that we use a lot in activities with children, and not only children, because adults really like it as well. And all of these material are available for download at Sabe Brasil's website. So everyone can freely download and use the material.
Wow.
In Portuguese.
Oh yes, in Portuguese. Portuguese is not that difficult, you know.
Yeah, it's close to Spanish.
Similar, very similar indeed.
Nós também, como nós temos em São Francisco a base do Projeto Jacutinga, que a gente recebe inclusive voluntários, e tem esse lugar é pequenininho, um distrito, e tem páginas do Facebook e do Instagram, a gente começou a compartilhar as notícias das Jacutingas, contando as histórias das aventuras da Jacutinga, dessas que foram soltas. Então, todas elas têm um apelido e a gente conta uma historinha delas.
So we also post regularly on Facebook, and because our main focus of the community engagement is the community of São Francisco Xavier, where we have the project Field Base, and we also are part of a specific Facebook group that belongs to the community, so we post in this page as well, so that everyone can know about the updates of the project, usually weekly.
Great indeed. Continue, Alexandra.
Ok. Nós também temos um projeto de ciência cidadã na SAVE que incentiva a observação de aves, então a gente levou isso para São Francisco. Então, a primeira guiada de observação de aves foi feita pela SAVE Brasil em 2016, logo depois da primeira soltura, para que a gente incentivasse as pessoas a realizar o monitoramento participativo das jacutingas. Acho que é melhor você já traduzir, né, Lica?
Sim. Obrigada. So in 2016, right after the first release, we started a bird watching program in São Francisco Xavier, because it's part of Sabe Brasil Citizen Science Program, and we wanted to encourage people from the community to start bird watching in São Francisco Xavier. And this was all what we used to start settling the participatory monitoring program.
Pode falar, Fabrício.
Oh, okay. It was going to be quick. Is that Jacutinga on the photo a real one, or it's just like a stuffed and not stuffed animal, like a mounted animal?
It's a real one. It's a real Jacutinga that was released by the project.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
Bom, a gente também participa de alguns eventos e festas locais lá no distrito, na área de soltura. Então, por exemplo, nessa foto da esquerda, a gente está participando de uma festa junina, que é uma festa local aqui do Brasil, e a gente tem uma barraquinha de jogos, que é para você jogar argolas na Jacutinga.
And also to show our community engagement in this photo in the left. Also, this one is not a real Jacutinga. The one here with Alexandra on the photo. This is an assembled plus Jacutinga. So we were invited to be a part of the Festa Junina, which is a national celebration we have here in Brazil. It's the equivalent of San Juan. So we have the San Juan celebrations here in Brazil, and we were invited to have a Jacutinga booth, and kids would play with the Jacutinga and get some treats from it. And the community really likes it.
Wow, that's great. It's a great way to involve the local community, and like you could
E a
also
gente,
play conserving the Jacutinga.
Yes, exactly.
e a gente dá brinde dos nossos parceiros, né? Pode falar até da parceria do Parque das Aves, que eles dão brindes da lojinha deles.
And we have a lot of support from our partners, such as Parque das Aves, which is a zoo here in Brazil, focused in birds of the Atlantic forest and with a lot of focus in conservation. And they donated a lot of items from their gift shop so that we could give them to the kids as treats for participating on the activities of the San Juan.
I actually follow them on social media. They are located in Foz do Iguaçu. And
Yes, that's right.
wow, yes, they are
Right by the
doing
falls.
a great work with local species. Very good indeed.
They do, they're amazing. And they're excellent partners of ours.
E nós temos um canal exclusivo de WhatsApp para que as pessoas possam, quando elas fizerem o avistamento das jacutingas, possam relatar através do WhatsApp, que é super prático, todo mundo tem hoje.
And something that we have that is very useful is that we have a WhatsApp number that is specific for the Jacutinga. So whenever someone from the community cites a Jacutinga, they can report it directly through WhatsApp. And when we receive this report, someone from the team goes to visit the property to see if it's really a Jacutinga, or they can send photos and ask questions.
Ooh, and that's a way of monitoring sightings around the area and possibly locate new individuals or that are expanding its range. I don't know yet.
Exactly, and it's a great way for us to monitor the birds that we have released. And Alexandra is going to explain more about this right now.
E aí, todo mundo que faz o avistamento, a gente entrega um certificado de protetor da jacutinga, uma placa que a propriedade é protetora da jacutinga, para que ela possa colocar ali, fixar no portão, e a gente tem parceria com alguns estabelecimentos locais. Então, o primeiro e o segundo avistamento do mês ganha uma pizza, um corte de cabelo ou um café da manhã.
So this part is really cool, because whenever we receive a report of sightings, and if it's a confirmed sighting of a Jacutinga, then this person will receive a certificate that says that they are a protector of the Jacutinga, and they will receive this sign that you can see here on the screen that says this property is a protector of the Jacutinga. And we have two partnerships with two local establishments from São Francisco Xavier. So each month, the first sighting receives a pizza from a pizza restaurant. So you see a Jacutinga and you get free pizza. And the second sighting of the month is awarded by a beauty parlor. So you get a free haircut.
Wow, that's a great initiative indeed. Who would not want to win that a pizza? Oh, wow.
Exactly.
Very good.
And it's cool because it's a partnership with local establishments, and they offer to support the project. So this is really cool.
And that's what I was gonna mention at the first part, but I think it's better now. You remind me a lot. Just you need a little more time and more, like more reach. But you could become a conservation success story like the cotton top tamarind in Colombia. You know how that organization moved the entire country to support their project and support their native species. You could do the same, and I wish you do the same, because the Jacutinga is endemic to the Atlantic forest. There are not many in the wild, and if local people know that and appreciate these birds, then you would be doing a great deal of a change.
Yes, it's true. And we really look up to these examples, like you mentioned, the cotton top tamarind. We really admire the work of Rosamira with the titis. It's really an example, a role model for all of us. So yeah, we'll get there with the Jacutingas. And now Alexandra is going to show a few pictures of the participatory monitoring. Pode explicar, Alex, por favor.
Bom, por conta de todo esse engajamento que o projeto realiza, a gente ultimamente tem visto muitos moradores participando e relatando para o celular do projeto. Então, aqui a gente tem foto de 2 moradores que avistaram os jacutingas, e aqui na direita uma foto feita por um morador de uma das jacutingas reintroduzidas. E aqui eles estão com a placa e o certificado.
So over this past year, we received 18 reports from people that saw the Jacutingas from the community. And in the first and second photos, you can see the people that reported them with the sign and the certificate. And this amazing photo of a Jacutinga was made by the person that reported it at his house.
Wow. Not everybody has the opportunity to have a Jacutinga in his porch.
É interessante também falar, Licotes, da quantidade de avistamentos que nós tivemos desde o início da pandemia, de abril de 2020 até agora, foram 18 avistamentos.
Ótimo, eu falei no começo da foto, mas eu vou falar da parte da pandemia. Fabrício Alexander reminded something that was really important, because these 18 reports were all during the pandemic. And during this time, not most of this time, but for at least 3 months, our team couldn't be in the field. So we were completely relying on the participatory monitoring, and it's been super helpful, because even though our team is not in the field right now, it is back in the field. But when it wasn't, the community was still helping us with the monitoring.
That's wonderful, really. Very good that you have achieved all of this. And before we go to the last part of this interview, do you have anything else to say about the threats or its conservation?
Lex, você quer falar mais alguma coisa da ameaças ou de conservação, ou pode passar para a parte final da entrevista?
Eu acho que não, eu só posso citar uma coisa que eu acho interessante também, é a parte de geração de renda, que hoje a Jacutinga ela traz para a comunidade uma forma de geração de renda através de produtos artesanais.
So Alex mentioned something really important, that is the part of generation of income. It's like people from the community are able to generate income by creating products that are related to the Jacutinga or about the Jacutinga. So a lot of handicrafts, as you can see here in the photo. And there's also a local brewery that does craft beer, and they created this Jacutipa, which is a beer they created this beer inspired on the Jacutinga, and we receive a small percentage of the revenue from their sales. And also other partnerships that we have, like the shoes that you see here. It's the shoe with Jacutinga prints. It's a company called Ustemp that they created this print inspired on the Jacutinga, and we receive part of this revenue as well. And also the t-shirt and the plush Jacutingas are similar cases of social marketing.
That's awesome. That's awesome that you have achieved this. You know, there are many species out there that, you know, it's very rare to see a stuffed animal of it, or see it in a shirt or in shoes. And knowing that you have done all this since 2010 is also a very great achievement, because some projects have 50 years or 70 years to achieve this, and you doing it in 10 years or 11 years. Oh wow, it's lovely. Congratulations to both of you, because you have achieved a lot during this time.
Thank you, Fabricio.
Now I think I can give you the opportunity to say a last inspiring message. It can be about anything, something that comes from the heart.
Yeah, sure. And I think we might even have an image to support this last inspiring message. O Lex, ele falou que agora, mais para finalizar, a gente pode compartilhar uma última mensagem, já sei o que você vai mostrar, uma última mensagem inspiradora. Eu falei que eu acho que você até tem uma imagem para apoiar essa mensagem.
Bom, a nossa mensagem final é que a gente cada vez mais quer que Jacutingas estejam voltando para o lugar que elas nunca deveriam ter saído, e cumprindo esse papel ecológico incrível que elas têm. E lembrando que a conservação de uma espécie a gente só faz junto com pessoas. Então, a gente tem que envolver as pessoas, tem que envolver a comunidade, isso também é muito importante. E é isso, espero que em breve a gente consiga relatar realmente o nascimento da espécie, que é a única coisa que falta para o projeto, e agradecer muito por esse espaço, porque essa é uma forma da gente sensibilizar as pessoas. Sempre que a gente pode falar com as Jacutingas num canal tão especial e bacana como o seu, é uma grande oportunidade para que as pessoas criem empatia pela espécie. Então, muitíssimo obrigada.
So for this final message and with the final image as well, which is very inspiring. So what we want to see is we want to see Jacutingas back to where they never should have left. So we want to see them back in the wild and reestablishing a population. And we are still eager to see a chick that is born in the wild, because this is something we still haven't seen in the project, but we hope to do it. We hope to be able to see it in the future, and we will make it and reestablish this population. And also, Alexandra wants to highlight something really important, that is to leave the message that we all know, but it's also so important to remind people that we can only do conservation with the help and with the involvement of people. And it's also so important to spread this message. And in channels such as this one, with this amazing opportunity that you gave us with your channel, this has been a very special opportunity, because this is a way in which we can spread the message and help sensitize people, and people that have never heard of the Jacutinga will have the opportunity to not only hear about the Jacutinga, but see photos and videos of it and maybe become interested in conservation. So we want to thank you once again, Fabrizio, for this amazing opportunity. And it's been great, really. It's been a pleasure to speak to you.
It's um prazer tê-las aqui today. Oh my God. But anyways, it's a pleasure to have you. I wanted to do it in Portuguese, but well, it didn't come out the way.
No problem.
In the future, we'll do one in Portuguese as well.
I would love to. Thank you very much for your presence. It was wonderful. And yes, hopefully we raised awareness about the Jacutinga and its conservation. And most importantly, reached a lot of people out there who didn't even know about the existence of this species.
Yes, and you played a very important role in the outreach of the Jacutinga.
Oh, thanks to you too. Without you conservationists, this channel wouldn't exist. So before I go, I would like to invite you all to subscribe and like our video if you like it. And let's reach 150 subscribers. We have already reached the 100. Now let's go bigger. Bye. Thanks for being here. See you next week.